Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where last episode, Twisted Karma and his last battle came to an end without our trial's conclusion, as we continue onwards into our final chapter of the story with all the knowledge we need, and now also knowing that Sholmes' legendary partner was none other than Eugene Mikotoba, with a question mark over the parentage of Iris Wilson further raised. It is now time to bring an end to the story of the Reaper or Reapers out there, and then the truth of what happened 10 years ago. As we now begin our final chapter, the Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Straight at it bright and early. No introduction here. No retelling. This is all now. Here we go. So, the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Miss Susato. Miss Susato? Ah! Starts with me to go on, eh? Oh no! What's the matter, Miss Naruhodo? I don't know, I suddenly just flipped. Nothing, I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but... When? I shan't let you down. Would you mind helping me to my feet then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. Hopefully this is the only letting down on the ground she does to me. Susato-san isn't her usual self at all. Well, that's hardly surprising, I suppose. She's just found out that her father is the partner of a world-famous detective. Not to mention... Good morning, sir. Lord Van Zieks. Thank you for all your efforts yesterday. What? Did I hear that correctly? What? Oh, no, nothing. Just, I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says, I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday. Well, Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. The Reaper, I suppose in hindsight. I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend that led to all of this. You're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zieks. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. That having been slain by that evil killer, Clint's restless spirit returned as some sort of demigod, to wield a deadly blade of justice where I, by dint of the law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him, I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors made me feel his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative public. He was obviously extremely important to you. Lord Clint Van Zieks. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know that you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes, that burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Thank you. Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Oh, Iris, when did you get here? Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Hurley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head. I thank you. Oh. That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this. You seem different today, Iris. Oh, sort of subdued, I suppose. I am not. What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's clearly very troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Sai's laboratory. Alright then, good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh, yes. Would you take this? Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that's usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made once. A Hurley? It looks more like a Hurley to me. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. That's not relevant. What? Pull his ears? That's right. It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. Iris's lucky charm has been entered into the court record. You think what we'll need is luck? I want to check it out. Of course, everything's still in here from last time. I think it might have been a little bit contracted or not. I'm not actually sure. No, I think everything's still here. Everything is here! I'm going to pull its ears, do you? What a charming little rabbity version of Mr. Sholmes. Do you suppose this is how Iris sees him? Are you alright, Mrs. Naruhodo? Your eyes are veritably boring into the poor doll's ears. Oh, sorry, I was just wondering. What do you suppose would happen if I were to tug its ears with all my might right now? I'm sure that we'll find out when the time is right. To become a proper gentleman, you really must learn stoic patience. But I want to know! Sister told me off too. Let's look up his... I guess I'll have to wait for the exact story-relevant point. You think what we'll need is luck? I just sneaked a peek inside the courtroom, and it seemed very different to normal. Yes, it would seem that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hasn't come home by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikotoba out all night too, do you think, Miss Susato? Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning. And apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. They? Father and Judge Jigoku, I mean. Judge Jigoku too? That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once. Good luck then, Runo. Good luck, Susie. Yes, thanks, Iris. And you, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. You must go inside now, Lord Van Zieks. Lord Van Zieks has always been the formidable prosecutor I've had to lock horns with in court. But not today. Today I battle with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend, Kazuma Asuki, who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those months ago. Now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. It's all been leading up to this one day, to this one trial, to this one final reckoning. So on the 3rd of November at 9:30 a.m. What's going on? Oh. It feels even more oppressive here than it did yesterday. There are cold stares piercing me like knives from all sides today. Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, look! Lord Stronghart! Kazuma must have known beforehand. Ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. The escape of a condemned criminal the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the men, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. By royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial, and one over which I, Mael Stronghart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. The 6 jurors' flames just... As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery are distinguished members of our judiciary, assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, a collection of your acolytes, Lord Stronghart. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You were a prosecutor of exceptional talent. Much like your brother, Clint, in fact. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. For the trial of Barok Van Zieks, who officially stands accused of murder. The counsels of the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he was carrying out operations in secret which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations, he had an accomplice. Mr. Daily Vigil, who would be given the inspector's identification and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact, he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation. Because whilst he was engaged as chief warder at Berkeley Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinus. He's recovered enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson whilst investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed 1 day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Asogi. I met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on 31st of October, the day before his body was discovered. I have here an updated autopsy report that includes the amended details. The official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday. At the time of death was 5 p.m. on 1st November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. The court will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It would, yes. Especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put an enormous effort into investigating that precise matter yesterday. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. State your name and occupation for the court. Inspector Gina Lestrade, reporting. Representative of Scotland Yard. Representative, yeah. A self-conferred rank, but never mind. Gina? Again? What's your problem, Modo? What's with that Gina again? Look, eh? The boss meant the world to me. He's done more for me than anyone else ever did. Oh, Inspector Gregson, you mean? He got me out of the back slums at the East End and took me under his wing. Told me that life can have a purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here, speaking for him. Oh, Gina. Right. All out of the goodness of Gregson's heart. Not at all that he had his arm twisted by Mr. Sholmes. No. What's relevant to these proceedings is that the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations yesterday has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. That face. Lord Stronghart knew. So, Inspector Lestrade, let's hear exactly what it says in that report. Coming right up, sir. The victim's movements. All Yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is, there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too. Smuggled goods? I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book. Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at irregular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets. It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating on his own authority, without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be! We haven't heard anything about any of this! Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Barok Van Zieks, was present. That would be very significant testimony then. Oh my, but... Lord Van Zieks has made no mention of this at all. In short, Lord Van Zieks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Very well then. Counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. The victim's movements. All Yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. Hold it! So, you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see? Oh. The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips, or go and give Toby his grub. That kind of thing. So, errands more than orders, then. This detective is still an apprentice, after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigations of what happened. I didn't find much at first. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it.
Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things? Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation. I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Because if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have turned me straight out on the street. This is sounding less and less like an investigation and more like something else. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. We found it hidden in one of his desk drawers that had a false bottom. That's impressive. So then I went too hard myself where no one could find me so I could have butchers at what was written in it. Because if anyone at the yard had found me out, they'd have turfed me straight out on the street. I've given in now though, ain't it? And if it weren't for me, it wouldn't have never been found. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day.
Hold it!
Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place? Yep. It was all there in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yes, I remember. But I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I've got to do is read it out. And I could too. I've got this reading game buttoned up now. Can I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the The judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. That's interesting enough. I could try to find out. What should I do? Yeah, go on. Show me your reading. This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Kazuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Right then, I get to show off me reading skills. Apparently, the smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. Have I heard of this?
Hold it!
The Grouse? What sort of a club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I am kind of curious. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently? I tell you what, me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives of the yard reckon. Says the even lower ranking detective. So I guess I'm supposed to get something there, but let's go through the rest of it. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet.
Hold it!
So how would Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case? That's the question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so... And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself, because, you know, I'm just an apprentice. When it suits you, yes. Anyway, the point is, something went on at that club, no question. You can't say that for certain, though, surely? Surely! What matters most is there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place, too.
Hold it!
Lord Van Zieks was at the club. He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. It looks like there's no disputing that he was there then. Well, we know that Lord Van Zieks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the inspector's secret notebook, which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably then, there are also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. None have been identified at this time, no. So the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Oi, why aren't you asking Inspector Lestrade, eh? So that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she? I really don't know what to make of all of this. Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you? That's not the only way to explain this. Oh, if everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere. You mean there are details we've yet to uncover? Exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. Okay, then. I guess it's not bad when we start off a case to refresh ourselves with evidence, exactly. I don't know what could be actually good here for anything. We got the Red-Headed League newspaper article that's still supposedly relevant if it's in here, or might just be one big red herring. It's about Lime Street. About America. Don't think I see anything going on there. Also, the first statement itself is... We're probably looking for a keyword being the gentleman's club called the Grouse. So we're looking for something along those lines. Of course, we got a photo. Nothing there to say about the Grouse. We've got a letter of introduction that we got ages ago. That we haven't examined. Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. Oh, no, we have, but it's just unexamined because we started the chapter again. The SS Grouse, first class cabin 001. Hey! Yokohama departure, 11th of September. London arrival, 1st of November. Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikitoba and Judge Jigoku came on from Japan, isn't it? Yes, I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. It goes back to France, doesn't it? To think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Burlia. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary. And I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could he have gone? Yes, he's lost it again. Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I mention it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? So I think the thing is, we've already got that updated. Port of Dunkirk, France. It would be going back the other way. There's nothing about on there. So we know what it's related to. So he was there. It wasn't a smuggled goods deal. You actually, wait a second. When you think about it, the smuggled goods deal was actually her. Yes. I think we might be presenting this because it's the Grouse link. It was about going on to go to the Grouse, to get on the Grouse, to go back to Japan. But going back to Japan, they go to Dunkirk, which is where he was going. He had a passport to France, and you were going too. You were the smuggled goods.
Objection!
I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? a steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it. Here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st of November. The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st of October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. And show me what evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. I will do. Because, of course, we're going to go with his passport. Most likely, we're going back. Checking everything backwards. And then Gina's going to learn what was intended for her. What Gregson was going to do. But that will happen next time on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve with our final chapter begun. Join me next time as we continue on. Bye-bye.